and we are jumping in to feminine energy. This is our November 22 teaching on feminine energy, some more foundation laying, just a little bit deeper than we went last time. So what I want you to grab a hold of is feminine energy is that it's way more relational versus task oriented energy. So it represents the nurturing traits that are needed in order to connect to others in a more meaningful way. So it's open and receiving energy. It is compassionate and kind, empathetic, patient. It's a more emotionally driven energy. It's about embracing intuition, creativity, and feminine energy is very fluid and free versus the more organized, orderly type of masculine energy. So if you think about those times where you need to be more connected to a person versus a task, job, or goal, right? That is going to be a more feminine energy that you are pressing into. So the four things that we are going to talk about today is the receptacle, the energizer, the multiplier, and the creative. All of these are parts of the feminine energy. I just absolutely love talking about these things. So a receptacle, you're going to find something out about me. I love definitions. It's super important to me because I'm like this communication nut to lay the foundation of a definition so that we are on the same page and understanding each other. So a receptacle is an object or space used to contain something. It's also known as an electrical outlet into which a plug of an electrical device may be inserted. And then the third definition is an organ or structure that receives a secretion, eggs, sperm, etc. So as we move into this lesson, be keeping those nouns, those kind of pictures in mind. So the feminine receives, and that receives both good and bad, because the feminine is a receptacle. Without good boundaries, without good self-worth, etc., someone that is really high or overextended in feminine energy becomes a dumping ground for others. Just pause for a moment. Think about those times that somebody tried to use you as their dumping ground, or you know somebody that's just constantly that dumping ground. The other thing, another little kind of flag to keep in mind, is if you're the person that always seems to draw those people, right, to you that want to just like tell you all of their problems. That is a clue that your feminine energy is probably, quite outwardly expressed, and you probably need to balance that and have good boundaries around it. It's not a bad thing, but you're just going to need to be more mindful that that feminine energy, that receptacle energy, is actually drawing more of a negative energy where people want to dump their problems on you, right? So this is never the intent or design for the feminine. I mean, sure, you can, you should, you do listen, and you're empathetic to someone else's junk, but there's a difference between receiving it, right? So you have to understand how to have those boundaries so you don't receive it. You should never walk away from a conversation feeling like you've been slimed or dumped on, right? That is actually not that other person's fault. That's actually your responsibility to make sure you have those boundaries around you. The feminine is not a trash receptacle, all right? Likewise, the feminine contains a lot of energy, and other low energy people are drawn to the high feminine energy and they try to plug in. Again, the feminine energy, you are not created to be somebody's source, right? So you have to have really good boundaries around your feminine energy because it's going to attract what I call energy vampires. And others will feed off of your energy instead of doing the work themselves to become healthy and create their own. Okay, so you probably can start thinking of times where other people have, sucked you dry, right? And that is, again, it's not their problem. It really has to do with um, you having the boundaries, the proper boundaries around your energy. So, if bells are kind of going off around either someone or times that you have experienced this yourself, I want you to be thinking about, right, your feminine energy, how it's an energy source. It's supposed to be an energy source for you, right? And obviously, you and your spouse, as you are one whole flesh, then that goes together. But outside of that, you need to encourage people to build their own source, right? Those people that you care about, but you might leave their company feeling drained versus recharged and connected. This is a good sign that you need stronger boundaries around your feminine energy. So just kind of think about that. Like those times where you're like, "Oh, I'm so wanting to go hang out with, whoever," but you always seem to leave that interaction feeling drained. Now, likewise, you also want to be mindful of how do other people feel around you? Are you tapping into their energy and draining them versus being responsible with your own energy and creating it for yourself? So, just things to be mindful of. And this is another way that people actually create soul ties. A lot of people think that soul ties are only created like through sex or something like that. That's absolutely not true. Emotional ties are more often created, and energy ties are created. So as long as you allow somebody to tap into your energy, that is a form of a soul tie. So really encourage you to release any of those that have been created either from others to you or you on to others, and bless them and move on into a healthier situation and boundaries around that energy. So the other thing is the multiplier. I love this aspect of the feminine. Whatever is deposited into that receptacle, the feminine adds energy and multiplies it back. It's so powerful. So the energy, the feminine energy creates really the highest ROI, especially when it is directed and focused, which that takes the masculine energy partnering with. What you have to be mindful of is what is being multiplied, right? Is it positive or is it negative? Because the feminine energy is the really reap what you sow factor. It is going to multiply whatever is deposited. It's going to multiply the positive and the negative. If you use the feminine as a trash receptacle, right, you're going to end up with a landfill. You are going to end up with very negative self-worth. You're going to be drained, overextended. You're going to carry everybody's problems for them. You're going to be in the midst of everybody's problems. Your life's going to be chaos because you're not going to have time or energy to fix your own. So, be really mindful of that. When you sow positive energy into the feminine, you you reap like an orchard, right, of amazing fruit. So that is what's really, really cool. The masculine may deposit the seed, but the feminine adds the energy. It becomes a portal in which another life is created and multiplied. The masculine may deposit, safety and shelter, but it's the feminine that will add the energy to create a home, right? Likewise, if the masculine deposits turmoil, the feminine will multiply it and you will experience the fruit of chaos. So, the final piece that I want to hit on today is the creative. The feminine energy has the ability to create something altogether different than what was deposited. To me, this is absolutely fascinating. So when the masculine deposits seed, the feminine does not just multiply seed back, right? The feminine creates a human being. How amazing is that? When the masculine provides safety and shelter, the feminine does not provide multiple shelters. It magnifies the safety and shelter and creates a home where the spirit and soul are also nurtured, not just the physical being protected. In the creation story, we see how God set the focus for the intention on the earth. The Holy Spirit then hovered over the chaos, right? The energy and contained it, that which had no form. God spoke like the seed being planted, and the Holy Spirit added the energy and multiplied that intention and created. I just think that is such an incredible, powerful visual. So, with the feminine, you are the receptacle, you are the energy, you are the multiplier, and it is the creator. Although I use some really gender specific framework around these concepts, it's merely for your visualization purposes. Again, the feminine is not gender specific. It is often expressed a little differently within the genders, but there are multiple examples of highly creative males who receive an idea or a concept, add their energy or their gift set to it, right? Multiply it back to the world as something more than just that seed idea. So most of the greatest ideators and high producing creatives of our day are actually male. So grab a hold of Elon Musk, right? Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. We can look at some of the, greats of the past like Michelangelo. These are all men that have actually tapped into that feminine energy and then balanced it with the masculine energy to get the task created. So we are all created in their image, right? Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And that's from the very beginning of time. That is our design. And so I want you to tap into what the feminine is, and then you actually pair that with the masculine to actually get the task done. So last month, I suggested that you begin journaling, getting out in nature with the intention of tapping into and exercising that feminine energy. This month, I'm going to do something a little different. I want you to be a little more specific in your journaling exercise. This is going to increase your mindfulness. It will also begin to increase your intuition, both of these being very feminine traits. And this is the practice of highly successful ideators. And, we're going to get into the 4 quadrants of the ideator, communicator, manager, and implementer. And this is your, billionaire class of successful people and what they do. So I want you to journal for like 15 to 20 minutes, preferably each day, you guys. And set a timer. So to me, it's best to do this right when you wake up, but you can do it in the evening as well. And I'm going to tell you how to tweak it for the different times. If you're a morning person, I want you to set your intention to receiving an idea or a thought about it and exploring as many questions as you can about that thought or idea. Definitely set the timer, you guys. I do not want you to do this more than 15 or 20 minutes. Even if you haven't completed the idea, set it aside, okay? Because you'll press into that masculine energy. And I really want you to stay more in that feminine energy of journaling, receiving the idea, and kind of getting curious like the entrepreneur and asking questions about it. If you're an evening person, I don't want you to come up with a new idea right before you go to bed. That might get your mind spinning, and we don't want to encourage insomnia. Instead, I want you to identify one thing you received that day, then spend 15 to 20 minutes, again, no more than that, journaling about how that thing was energized or multiplied, or how that was a seed of creation in your life. So those will be the two different ways, depending on if you're a morning person or evening person. I want you to work in your design and your operation whenever you can do this best. And so that is it for this month. And your homework, your practical application, I want you to chew on the 4 factors of the feminine. Start to identify them in your life, right? And be more mindful of them. Like I said, this journaling practice is going to help a ton. But if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. It's what we're here for. We love this stuff. Make sure you're communicating, staying on top of this. Make sure we're all on the same page and everything is clearly communicated so that you can receive it to the best of your ability. And until then, we'll talk to you later.